Now, somebody will say, well, that type of man should not be married. That type of person should not be married. He's undisciplined. What type of man will keep will keep cheating on his wife? If he doesn't want to be married, then let him say he doesn't want to be married. Who are you to say that? What right do you have to say that? That a man has trouble with discipline in the area of sexual attraction to women does not mean that he does not love his wife and his kids and he wants to scatter and torpedo his marriage. You're talking about things you don't know. And if you are a man who holds that position, how many women desire you? Let the real men whom women desire, let the real men come out and talk. The men who have the articles of grace, the men for whom it is a struggle to keep the opposite sex away, let them come out and be counted. You whom nobody wants, you are talking about how, well, I've been faithful to my wife. When you have Christ-like character, the Bible say, what have you seen? Who wants you? Who has desired you? You never see temptation. You go see woman, your mind go cut. You know, the tragedy of the times in which we live is that, or one of the tragedies is that we live in a world where people talk too much. People are reactive and think too little. They react before thinking and coruscating deeply. And then people talk out of their delusions, or they talk from some narrow-minded, myopic religious point of view that they were taught and indoctrinated with, or out of their ideal of what they think the world should be. People talk without experience. So let me ask you something, and this is in relation to my last video, that very engaging video where I said, don't confess if you cheat. If you commented on that video about cheating and you said you don't agree, no, you don't agree, and you said all of that, the question is, have you ever been cheated on and had your partner confess to you? Or better yet, have you been the one who confessed to your spouse after cheating? If that is the case, how did that go? Don't just sit there commenting, just commenting and typing out of some abstract sense or idea of what you think is right. Someone even tagged me in an Instagram video. They tagged me in the video where a group of young people, Americans, they were looking like they were in their 20s. Maybe the oldest one was maybe in their early 30s, but mostly in their 20s, maybe even younger. They were gathered on stage and were discussing, if your partner cheated on you, how soon would you want to know? And all of them without exception, all of them went, well, if my partner cheated on me, I would want to know immediately, because, you know, every year that you don't confess is another year. And when she eventually finds out, blah, blah, blah. All of them, one after the other. If my partner cheated, not one person said, when my partner cheated on me that time, this was what happened. From experience, all of it was conjecture based on what you think you want, or based on what they think they want, or what they were taught. Besides which, those are Americans now. The person who sent me the video, you be American, your culture not their culture. You are sending me video of young Americans. Let the people who have actually lived this or lived through this, who have the scars to show, let them come out and talk and tell you. And while that has not happened to me in my marriage, I do have the scars to show. I told you in that video that I had a serious relationship breakup because I confessed. More importantly, I have seen it happen in the marriages of at least 3 of my friends. Close friends, not be said and say. These are some of the best men whom I know. Men who stumbled once or twice and they cheated. And then out of a sense of guilt or some misguided idea of righteousness, they confessed. The problem with some of our guys is they don't they don't tell you before they rush and go and do it. Out of those 3, 2 are divorced. As I follow you, they talk so. 2 are divorced. And the one who isn't, there is not a single day that he doesn't regret that he confessed. His marriage is irretrievably scarred, broken. The woman stayed, yes, but she's not the same. He's not the same. There are 2 people living in the same house, haunted by what he thought was the right thing to do. And those are people I know. I hear other second-hand stories. People who have said they know somebody. Somebody was telling me that the woman has been in the man's house for 20 years now. She cheated and confessed 20 years ago. For 20 years, the man has made her life hell. He refers to their children as bastards. Kúkú mọ àwọn tó bímọ fún. Kúkú mọ àwọn tó bímọ fún. Experience, not your idea of what you think is right or what you think you would like. And then I consulted with a friend who is a famous marriage and family therapist on this topic. You know him. If I told you his name now, you know him. I consulted with him and he agreed. Lest you think we just come out here and start talking. We do realize we have a platform that changes lives. So we don't just talk. I consulted. He agreed with what I said fully, unreservedly. From his experience of practicing, most marriages don't survive confession, and the ones that do are always just a shadow of what they once were. He said that there are only very few exceptions when and where you should confess to your spouse. And in those exceptions, it is a long process that you walk through with a professional counselor, a marriage or relationship therapist. You just don't come out and go to your wife and say, dúpẹ́ mo ti ṣẹ̀ ẹ́ o, dúpẹ́ mo ti ṣẹ̀ ẹ́ o. And so now you who are sitting in my comment section, talking out of a sense of what you think is moral. I don't agree. What you think is holy. What sounds good in theory. Talking about how much you don't agree. I ask you again, based on which experiences that you have or that you have lived, if it is because of what you think is proper, please don't comment. Or comment. The more your comment, the more the engagement with the algorithm. So it's not as if we really mind, really. We're just saying, don't just jump in and start talking because it feels righteous. We're not interested in your ideals. We're interested in outcomes, because this is real life. All this thing where it is we just play is real life. This, believe it or not, is a ministry. These are real marriages, real children, real people. We're not just here chasing views as much as we appreciate them. We're not just here chasing relevance as much as we would like it. This is real. If you have real elders who have lived life and have experience, ask them now, as they say in Ajawa, what fathers tell their sons? Now I tell you so. There is no wise African father, even foolish father self, whose son will come and say to him, Papa, I mess up, I've been wrong one babe for side, and now I feel bad, my conscience, it won't kill me. I want go house, go tell on what I do. There is no father in Africa that will tell their son, yes, you do well, my son. Yeah, go house, go tell your wife, go tell Onome. None. The father will ask, okay, sit down. The girl, when you do, she get belly. You say no. She carry disease. You say no. Okay, good. I like as you dey feel. Not do it again, no. Because if he change hand next time, if he carry belly, if he carry disease, no, not change hand, no, not do it again, but not tell Onome. Just go house, take care of Onome and the pikin. Not do it again. That's what a real African. There's no African father who will tell his child, oh yeah, go confess, give your wife because you want change. Put yourself in those shoes now. If your son who just got married last year and whose wife is 8 months pregnant with their first child, if he came to you and said, daddy or mommy, when I went out with the boys last night to the club, I met a girl at the club, and you don't take because Moji is pregnant, so I didn't know, one thing led to the other, one thing touched one thing, I had a few too many drinks and I slept with her, and now I feel so bad and I want to go and confess to Moji. She's at home, she's pregnant, I want to go and confess. That's what you would tell him to do. To go and tell his 8 months pregnant wife that he cheated because he's feeling bad and he's trying to do the right thing. Una go just dey talk theory. That's what we are telling you. Unto one person here, to strong in. Olo fẹ́ lọ jambla, o fẹ́ lọ sọ̀rọ̀. Okay, no wahala. As the people of Ajawa say, àìsọ fọ́mọdé pé kó má dẹ́tẹ̀. Ẹjọ́ lọ dẹ́tẹ̀ tó bá ti lè dá gbogbo. They're not dey tell small pikin, they're not dey follow small pikin drag over wetin he say he wan do by force. They're not dey follow and fight. More na free am, may go do am. if you fit carry the consequences. They don't fight with people over what is potentially harmful and injurious. You are telling them and they insist. I think you want confess, Abi. Carry go now. Go confess. My wife cornered me in the kitchen the day after I dropped the clip and said, I saw a clip of your video. I just saw it in passing. I haven't really watched the full video. But do you mean what you said? People shouldn't confess when they cheat. I told her, I said, let me try to make it real for you, my dear wife. Let me try to make it practical. We have been married for 13 years now. So let's say that over that period, I have cheated on you with 20 women over the period, which is not ridiculous for an entertainer. From shows to events, 20 women is nothing. Let me tell you, 20 women is nothing. Not even in 1 year. Talk much less or talk much more of 13 years. So let's say I have cheated on you with 20 women and I now decide to confess to you. Not because anything has changed materially in our reality. Nobody's pregnant. I haven't contracted a disease that I've passed on to you. Nobody saw me. But because I'm feeling guilty and I need your forgiveness. Toby, Moti share. Toby forigi me. Toby, I don't do you something. So now let me ask you this. At what point do I stop confessing? Do I confess to all 20 women? Or do I just confess to 2? Do I confess to just 2? Because once I start lying in my confession and holding some things back, then it is not true confession anymore. It is a lie, and I might as well have not bothered to confess in the first place. If it is going to be genuine confession, then I must confess all. And then you will not stop there. I told her, I said you won't stop there because you are human. You won't stop there. You will ask, you will do investigative probing, you will probe, you will say, how many times did it happen? And of course, the truth will be that I probably wouldn't remember. 20 women, I won't remember. So I would most likely say, I don't remember, which is potentially the worst answer I could give. Because how many times must I have cheated on you not to remember? So your imagination could come up with any number, 20, 50, 100, 200, 1,000, any number that will start to drive you slowly insane. But then you won't stop. You will still ask, when did this start? When did you start doing this? Because you will want to know. You will want to situate it in a timeline and know how long I have been deceiving you or how long I deceived you for or when I started to do it. And so let's assume, I was still talking to my wife now. It's my wife I'm talking to. I say, and so let's assume it started on our wedding night, the night of the wedding. After the reception, as soon as I dropped you in the hotel in Ikoyi, I lied that I wanted to go and pick something at home because we used to live in VI then, I lied that I wanted to go and pick something at home, which was exactly what happened on our wedding night, actually. I didn't lie. I didn't lie. But I did go pick up a few things for us at home before returning to the hotel. So, in this story, let's assume that I stopped by somewhere on my way to or from the house to quickly sleep with one of the girls I saw at the wedding. Maybe one of the girls on your bridal train with whom you used to be friends. Do I now tell you that as well? Because remember, I cannot lie in the spirit of true confession if I remember it. By the way, by the way, in the spirit of true confession, even if you ask none of those questions, I must tell you all of those things. As much as I remember, I must confess all, whether you ask or not. I can't hold anything back or my confession is null and void. Now, again, I didn't impregnate anybody. I didn't give you a disease. I didn't catch one. Everything is as it was, more or less. Nobody saw me. But it is out of a guilty conscience and a sense of righteousness that I have now confessed 20 women, uncountable times, starting from the very night of our wedding, our marriage, with one of the girls on our bridal train, your bridal train. Before all of this, you were happy. You were blissfully unaware. But now I have just dropped this reality on you. Now tell me, my dear wife, does that confession increase the chances of healing our marriage or decrease them? You tell me. She was just looking at me. She just dey look me like this. Now, someone will say, someone who cheats that many times has no business being married. You are not ready to be married. You are probably right. But that is not our discussion. Our discussion is if you want to heal and keep that marriage together for whatever reason, then don't confess and hurt and shatter the world of your spouse. That's our discussion. Let's go deeper. Let's begin to deconstruct some of these baseless points and arguments that people keep bringing up. Number one, but she deserves to know. That argument. But she deserves to know. She has a right to know the truth about her own life and her marriage. Okay, let's play that out. What does she gain from knowing? She cannot unknow it. She cannot go back in time. She now has to decide, do I stay with a man who betrayed me, or do I leave and blow up my marriage, blow up my family? Because there are no good options once she knows. If she stays, she's haunted. She keeps saying, go and ask women, and they will tell you that I can't shake the picture of you and that woman out of my head. I can't remove it. She's haunted. If she leaves, the kids, if they have kids, suffer. The marriage collapses. Her mental health takes a hit either way. Her ability to trust anyone, not just him, but anyone, it may be permanently damaged. So, please tell me in practical terms, what exactly is this right to know? What is it giving her? Is it peace? Is it closure? Is it agency? No, it's giving her pain. That's it. And meanwhile, the man who cheated, he feels better. He got it off his chest. The poison that was eating him, that was corroding him from the inside, he has transferred at least part of that poison and guilt onto someone else's shoulder. He can sleep at night now, or he can sleep better. In fact, that argument that some of you bring up, that poison of living with a lie can eat him up from inside, is the very exact reason why he shouldn't confess. Somebody was saying, you don't know what the unconfessed weight of guilt can do to a person. That is exactly why he shouldn't confess. Are you now suggesting that he should share the poison and that weight of guilt with the innocent wife who knew nothing about it, about his cheating in the first place? He should poison her too. Let him carry his weight alone. Let him deal with the toxicity of the poison that he went to ferment. Was she the one who went to enjoy with him? Confession is not for her benefit. He is the one who gains when he confesses. So please don't dress it up as noble. It is selfish. Argument number 2. People have asked, but what about if he gets STDs, if he contacts a disease and passes it on to her, or if he gets someone pregnant? See, if something has changed, if something has materially changed, if there's a disease, if someone got pregnant, if a mutual friend saw you, or if Madame herself saw you, then yes, you have to deal with reality at that point. That is not confession. That is facing facts. I mean, Madame caught you red-handed with another woman in bed. Both of you naked, going paka. What are you confessing? You tell Madame that she's living in an alternative reality and she cannot trust her eyes and what she's doing and what she's seeing. But if nothing changed, then confession is purely about his feelings. It's not for her safety. It's not for her health. It's just his guilt. Again, at that point, why should she have to carry that weight with him? So if something has materially changed, if somebody got pregnant or there's a disease in play, or Madame caught you, or someone who will tell Madame saw you, it's not confession at that point. You are facing reality. Oti doko dele danimo at that point. You don't enter by that point. You don't pass confession. The chickens have come home to roost. Number 3, you are living a lie if you don't confess to your partner. People love this one. Every day he is living a lie. Every day that he hasn't confessed, he's living a lie, and that will poison the marriage. Really? Okay, let me ask you something. Do you tell your spouse or your wife every fleeting attraction that you feel? Or every unkind thought? or every moment that you have doubted your relationship, or this is my favorite, every time you have actively lusted after another woman. Do you tell madam? And not just notice that another woman is attractive. No, that's involuntary. I am talking about when you dwelt on it, when you let your mind go there, when you imagine, even for a moment, what it would be like to be with another woman. Because Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5 verse 28, if you look at a woman and desire her, epithomeo, that's the word, to covet, to desire, to lust after her in your heart, you have already committed adultery with her just by looking and desiring. So, according to what Jesus himself said, the man who physically cheated and the man who actively lusted in his mind, both of them are guilty of adultery. Most of us men have been there, especially those of us who were active when we were single. We've seen a woman for a minute, maybe one of those who got away back in the day. We were trying to make something happen, but somehow she got away and we saw her again and she was still looking tight. So maybe for a minute or maybe for a second, we got lost. We desired her. Maybe we snapped out of it after, but we've been there. There's nobody who is perfect. According to Jesus, you committed adultery already. So, my question to all you righteous people in my comments, talking about how marriage is built on trust and you must confess. Are you confessing all of that too? Every time you've actively lusted after another woman, are you going home and telling your wife, babe, I committed adultery in my heart today at the grocery store. I saw this girl I used to know, Monica, and I committed. Do you tell madam all of that? Because if you are going to be this Christ-like, this biblical, this holy, then you need to confess all of it, because technically you have committed adultery too. Or is confession only for the physical acts? Because if that's the case, then you're not being righteous. You're just being selective. You can't have it both ways. It's one way or the other. If you're confessing all. You're not selecting your confession. What you need to understand, what people don't get in this, the ideal of marriage and what people tell them, marriage is not about radical transparency. Marriage is commitment despite imperfection. Every human being on earth carries private knowledge their spouse doesn't have access to. Thoughts, attractions, doubts. That's not living a lie. That's being human. It is a fool who reveals everything to another human being, including his spouse. He gets on things where you go just hold for hand, keep for corner now. Now everything you dey tell person. If you are a man who does that to your wife, it won't be long before even your wife starts to disrespect you. Like, what kind of child man is this one? And here's what is wild about it. If the man truly changes, if he stops cheating and becomes a better husband, the marriage actually improves. Madam unknowingly benefits from his guilt-driven transformation without suffering the trauma of knowing why he changed. Is that fake? Or is that actually the most loving thing he could do? Most people treat marriage, they don't get it. They treat marriage like a contract of perfect honesty and perfect behavior. Any and every breach must be disclosed because justice demands it. But here, in this discourse, I am treating marriage like a covenant for mutual flourishing, for achieving purpose and achieving destiny. The goal isn't moral purity. The goal is the well-being of family and the fulfillment of purpose. And if silence serves that better than honesty, then silence is the moral choice. The marriage is bigger than both of you, especially when there are kids involved. By confessing, you're not just gambling with a relationship, you're gambling with your children's stability, their mental health, their entire life's trajectory. All because you were feeling guilty and you thought that righteousness demanded that you confess to madam and shatter her world. Number 4, what if she finds out later? Because secrets always come out. There is nothing under the sun that is hidden that will not be revealed. So what if she finds out later? People love to say that one. The truth always comes out eventually. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's TV logic. That's Days of Our Lives logic. The rich also cry. Is that logic? Super story logic. In real life, most affairs never come to light. Do you know how many people have taken secrets of affairs to their graves? And even if it does come out years later, at least you had those years. As funny as it sounds, at least you had those years. The kids grew up stable. They grew up in a stable environment. Your wife had peace. She can now decide, if she discovers 10 or 15 years down the line, if she wants to scatter everything because you didn't confess something you did 15 years ago or 10 years ago. She can now decide. Compare that to confessing now and just nuking, throwing a nuclear bomb on everything from day one. Which timeline would you rather have? Which timeline would you rather live? Sounds selfish, but we're being realistic and practical here. We need to get out of this hypocrisy that we're living. It is Nigerians with this our country, this our corrupt. It is you people that are telling me all of this. He needs to confess. Righteousness demands this Nigeria that we are living. So let me begin to bring it home. What are we really saying here? Nobody ever said that cheating was okay. I said it 100 times. Don't cheat. Go and watch the video you were commenting about, not just the clip. If you really wanted to comment, shouldn't a sense of scholarship and engagement have compelled you to go and see the entire thing and not just the clip? Because I kept saying in all my clips, the link to the full video is here. So don't cheat. But if you cheat and you've genuinely stopped, or you want to genuinely stop, and nothing material has changed, no disease, no pregnancy, no one saw you, madam didn't catch you, then the most mature, least selfish thing you can do, the least damaging thing you can do, is to stop cheating immediately. Confess to God. Talk to a professional counselor. Bear your guilt by yourself. You were the one who went to foment the activity that led to the guilt. And then become the husband that your wife deserves. Do not transfer your pain or poison to her just so you can feel better. That is not honesty. That is cowardice. Now, having said all of this, even after all of this, I know some people are still angry right now. They are furious. This man is encouraging people to lie and cheat. How can you be encouraging people not to confess? So they are going to get away with what they did? I am not encouraging lying. I am encouraging people to minimize harm, to minimize damage. The real question isn't, is honesty always right? That's not the real question. The real question is, what action leads to the best outcome for everyone involved? The fact that something is right does not make it expedient in all cases. That it seems right in theory to come clean to your spouse does not make it practically feasible or helpful. And Apostle Paul uses similar language. He said, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are expedient. 1 Corinthians 6:12. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. In other words, some things are allowed or even technically right, but they may not be profitable or constructive in practice. We could spend hours and days on this one topic, because legalism is not the way, which is what most of you are espousing. What is proper, what is right? Legalism. God says in Hosea 6:6, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Mercy over the letter of the law. Confession is sacrifice. You are definitely sacrificing your peace and your wife's happiness, and then you are potentially sacrificing the entire marriage and the family. So, is telling the truth always the right thing to do according to the letter of the law? And immature people will say yes. Inexperienced people will say yes. But the Bible tells us otherwise. It's not in all cases. The Bible shows us repeatedly that God values mercy and human flourishing over rigid adherence to rules. It's not always about rules. That is legalism. That is the law. The Hebrew midwives, in Exodus, the Hebrew midwives, they lied to Pharaoh to save the lives of the Hebrew baby boys when Pharaoh said they should start killing babies. They said the Hebrew women deliver too quickly for them to arrive in time. And the Bible says God blessed them for it. The text says God dealt with them and gave them families. And they lied. That was lying. Abraham, the father of faith, Abraham told kings, he told kings, not one, kings, plural, that Sarah was his sister instead of his wife to protect himself. And God protected Sarah, rebuked the kings, and Abraham came away blessed. In fact, God never even addressed the deception with Abraham. God never even told him, why did you lie? God actually called him a prophet in the same breath when he was protecting him from the consequences of his deception. God told King Abimelech that Abraham was a prophet, and Abraham just lied. God told Samuel to go anoint David as king in Bethlehem. When Samuel said, Saul will kill me if he finds out, God said, take a heifer, take a cow, and say you've come to offer sacrifice. That was a cover story, strategic ambiguity to protect Samuel's life. It was God himself who instructed it. That was a deliberate obfuscation of material facts. David broke temple law and ate the showbread that was reserved for priests, strictly, only for priests. David ate it when he was hungry. And when religious leaders challenged Jesus about this, Jesus defended David and said, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. The principle is clear. Because some of you will come now and start saying, because that's what you say, none of those scenarios was to justify cheating. There wasn't cheating there. Who is justifying cheating? We have said cheating is bad. But when the letter of the law, in this case confession, when it causes more harm than good, then mercy must take precedence. Mercy takes precedence. So again, the real question is, what action leads to the best outcome for everyone involved? Most times, silence is more loving than confession, except when something material has changed that needs to be disclosed. And as I have said, in that case, pregnancy, disease, she caught you, somebody who will tell her saw you, or something else that has radically transformed your reality, then that is not confession. Your reality has changed. You are now facing the consequences of your action. That is different. Otido okodele danimo bound. As the people of Ajawa say. Consequences are consequences. That has nothing to do with confession. Let me give you another scenario based on what we see happen in marriages every day. Not just these fantasy conjectures people are coming up with, what they think they want, or what they think is right, or what they think should happen. Let's give you, happens in marriages every day. As Fela said, it happen to we Africans every day. Let's say you are a man who was out there before marriage. You were sexually active and all of that. You know the ways of women. Women are attracted to you. But you got married. And because you are a faithful man, because your character is sound, you intended to be loyal to your wife. But again, because you are a man who knows the way of women and who attracts women, after about 1 year of marriage, you fall, you stumble, you cheat on your wife. You saw one hot babe. Again, maybe a babe from the past that got away. She just got away and now she's presenting herself and you stumbled. It's not right, but you stumbled. And then, in this spirit of confession and doing things right, in this spirit of what is right, you go and tell her, you go and confess. And somehow, miraculously, your marriage survives. And then, you're grateful. You pray, you confess, you try. You keep your head down, trying to do your best. You're trying. But 2 years later, you slip up again. You fall, you cheat. Will you also go and confess that to her in the spirit of confession? But let's assume that you do. You confess and somehow your marriage miraculously survives again because your woman is a woman above all other women. She's a gift. Somehow it survives the second confession. And then you keep trying not to cheat again. You keep trying. But 3 or 4 years down the line, you slip up again and you have sex with somebody who is not your wife again. Are you also going to go and confess that one to her? Because remember, we're in the spirit of what is right now. What is right? She deserves to know everything in the spirit of true confession and honesty in marriage. King Solomon says, a righteous man may stumble 7 times, but he picks himself up again. By the way, when the Bible says 7 times, it doesn't actually mean exactly 7 numerical times. It's just a numerical example. The principle is that there is always grace after stumbling or falling, as long as you have a genuine heart for confession to God, not to man, to God, and repentance, and you keep trying. It's like when Peter asked Jesus, Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother who sins against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus said, no, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. He wasn't talking about a numerical limit, so that if you do it 70 times 7, 490 times, then you can now not forgive your brother again. No, he was talking about a principle. That's the same thing the proverb of King Solomon was saying, or is saying. The righteous man falls 7 times. It doesn't exactly mean 7. He's saying that there is no limit to the amount of times he can keep getting back up after he stumbles. You are allowed to stumble. Of course, mature minds should know that we can't begin to live in sin because grace exists. But people do stumble. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says you're condemned for sinning. Nowhere. Show me where it says that a child of God is condemned for sinning. So with God, as long as you confess and you keep trying to change, you're covered. God is not condemning you. But your wife, uncle, about madam, when do you stop confessing? Since you have now tripped 3 times. Should the man stop confessing after the first confession? Or the second confession? Or the third? Or the 7th? Or the 20th? Or the 70th? In this spirit of confession and honesty and truth and being open, if confession is the moral imperative every time, if confession is the moral imperative every single time, then he must confess all of them every single time. And if he must confess every single time, what chance does that marriage have of surviving? God's grace can cover unlimited falls. God will keep giving you 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 1,000, 1 million chances. Can Madam's grace cover your unlimited falls if you keep confessing? Now, somebody will say, well, that type of man should not be married. That type of person should not be married. He's undisciplined. What type of man will keep cheating on his wife? If he doesn't want to be married, then let him say he doesn't want to be married. Who are you to say that? What right do you have to say that? That a man has trouble with discipline in the area of sexual attraction to women does not mean that he does not love his wife and his kids and he wants to scatter and torpedo his marriage. You're talking about things you don't know. And if you are a man who holds that position, how many women desire you? Let the real men whom women desire, let the real men come out and talk. The men who have the articles of grace. The men for whom it is a struggle to keep the opposite sex away. Let them come out and be counted. You whom nobody wants, you are talking about how, well, I've been faithful to my wife. When you have Christ-like character, the Bible say, what have you seen? Who wants you? Who has desired you? You never see temptation. You go see woman, your mind go cut. That a man struggles with sin is not proof that he's not fit to be married. Of course, it is not right. He should do better. He gave his word. He should be a man of his word. He gave his word in front of God and men that he was going to be faithful to this woman. And as I've told you over and again, nobody is saying that cheating is good or excusing it. As much as it's within your power, do not cheat. Be a man of your word. You gave your word. But struggle is struggle. Temptation is temptation. Stumbling is stumbling. Sin is sin. That is why grace still exists. Now, why God never carried grace come out from ground with that? Because he knows that human beings, despite our best intentions, we continue to struggle. You never read Paul letter. I want to do good, but despite my desire to do good, I keep doing bad. There are consequences for your sins. That's not what we're talking about. You keep going out like that, stepping out on your wife. One day she will either catch you or something will change. You go give person belle, you go carry disease. Person go see you. Madam go catch you. That's not the point we're making here. We're talking about confession. And this is the problem with legalism. People claim to be born again and to be living under grace, but most people are actually operating like they are living under the law. You are holding the human spouse to a standard that only God can meet. You are asking the wife to absorb unlimited rounds of devastation in the name of honesty. Oga should just keep confessing and be shattering her word every time, and then she will heal again. And then when he stumbles in the name of honesty and truthfulness, you should confess again and shatter it all over again. At some point, you have to ask yourself, is this about doing the right thing, or is this about systematically destroying your marriage? Mo sọ yìí mo dúró náà Àjàó Commander. Torí o èyí tí mo sọ sílẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ sí lẹ́ni mo dáràn ọmọ Yẹ́misí olóòótọ́ kì màmá yìí lẹ́ni o tìbáláká tìbáláká tìbólókó tìbólókó kíní bolo kejì bolo pàmbolo ń bogun fún gbogbo eléré wẹ́wẹ́. I'll see you on the next one.